Welcome to QuickSpeak,
Uh,
the English podcast that helps you learn English quickly and easily.
yeah.
Today, we are going to talk about a difficult topic,
Okay.
betrayal.
Right.
It's something that can happen to anyone,
Yes.
and it can be really hard to deal
That
with.
can be really hard. Let's start with the basics.
Okay.
What exactly do we mean by betrayal?
Well,
It's not just about someone breaking a promise, right?
no, it goes much deeper than that.
Deeper.
Yeah. Betrayal is a breach of trust
Okay.
that causes us emotional pain.
Okay.
It can be a deliberate act,
Like
cheating in a relationship,
Mhm.
or it can be more subtle,
Okay.
like gossiping behind someone's back.
So it's about a violation of the unspoken agreements we have in our relationship.
Yeah,
The things we expect from each other, even if we don't say them out loud.
exactly.
And that's why betrayal can be so hurtful.
It is.
It makes us question the foundation of our relationships.
And it can even make us doubt ourselves.
Yes.
So how does betrayal affect us on a psychological level?
Oh.
What's going on in our minds when we experience this kind of hurt?
One of the most immediate impacts
Mm-hmm.
is on our self-esteem.
Self-esteem.
Betrayal can make us feel inadequate, unlovable, or even worthless.
Oh,
It can chip away at our sense of who we are and what we believe in.
it's like the rug has been pulled out from under us.
Yeah.
We thought we had solid ground and suddenly it's gone.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And when that happens, it's natural to experience a range of emotions: anger,
Mm.
sadness,
Uh-huh.
confusion, even a sense of numbness.
Wow.
These are all normal reactions to betrayal.
So how do we deal with those emotions?
Right.
Where do we even begin to process something so painful?
The first step is to acknowledge those feelings. Don't try to suppress them or pretend they don't exist.
Right.
Allow yourself to feel the hurt,
Okay.
the anger,
Yeah.
the confusion. It's all part of the healing process.
It's not about trying to be strong and stoic.
Yeah.
It's about being honest with ourselves about how we feel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's important to remember that healing takes time.
Okay?
There's no quick fix for betrayal.
Mm-hmm.
It's a process.
Yeah.
And it's okay to feel a range of emotions as you go through it.
What about seeking professional help? When does it make sense to talk to a therapist or counselor?
Therapy can be incredibly helpful in processing the complex emotions that arise from betrayal. It provides a safe and supportive space
Okay.
to explore those feelings, to challenge negative thoughts,
Okay.
and to develop coping mechanisms.
So it's not just about talking about your problems.
Right.
It's about learning new ways to think about them and to manage them.
That's right.
Okay.
A therapist can help you understand the root of your pain, develop strategies for healing,
Yeah.
and ultimately move forward in a healthier way.
Now, you mentioned negative thoughts earlier. Yeah. What are some common thought patterns that people experience after betrayal?
One common pattern is self-blame.
Okay.
People often start questioning what they did wrong or how they could have prevented the betrayal. They might start overanalyzing their actions or blaming themselves for the other person's choices.
It's like they're trying to find a reason,
Yeah,
some way to make sense of something that feels senseless.
exactly.
Right.
And that can lead to a spiral of negative thoughts
Oh.
that can be very damaging to their self-esteem.
Yeah.
Another common pattern is rumination.
Rumination.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Rumination is when you get stuck in a cycle
Okay.
of replaying the events of the betrayal over and over in your mind. You keep going over the details, trying to figure out what happened, why it happened,
Yeah.
and what you could have done differently.
It's like a broken record in your head,
Right?
constantly replaying the same painful track.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. And rumination can be very exhausting and draining.
Okay.
It prevents you from moving on and healing.
So how do we break free from these negative thought patterns? Is it even possible to stop those thoughts
Yeah.
from swirling around in our heads?
It is possible,
Okay.
but it takes effort and practice.
Okay.
One technique that can be helpful is mindfulness.
Mindfulness.
Yeah,
That word gets thrown around a lot these days.
it does.
What does it actually mean in the context of healing from betrayal?
Mindfulness is about paying attention
Okay.
to the present moment without judgment.
Okay.
It's about observing your thoughts and feelings without getting caught up in them.
So it's about noticing those thoughts without letting them control you. Almost like watching them float by like clouds in the sky.
Exactly.
And the more you practice mindfulness, the better you become at recognizing those negative thought patterns and choosing not to engage with them.
So it's not about suppressing those thoughts.
Right.
It's about acknowledging them and then letting them go.
Precisely.
Okay.
Mindfulness helps you create a space between you and your thoughts.
Yeah.
So you're not so consumed by them.
That sounds incredibly helpful.
It can be.
Especially when you're dealing with the emotional turmoil of betrayal.
Yes.
Are there other techniques that people can use to manage those difficult feelings?
And one that's often overlooked
Okay.
is the importance of physical activity.
Physical activity.
Yeah.
How does exercise fit into all of this?
Well,
It seems counterintuitive that going for a run could help mend a broken heart.
it might seem that way,
Okay.
but exercise has a profound impact on both our physical and mental well-being.
Okay.
When we engage in physical activity, our bodies release endorphins,
Okay.
which have mood-boosting effects.
So it's not just about getting in shape.
No.
It's about changing our brain chemistry to feel better.
Exactly. Exercise can help reduce stress, improve sleep, and increase energy levels, all of which can contribute to healing from the emotional wounds of betrayal.
It sounds like taking care of our physical health can be a powerful way to support our mental and emotional health as well.
It absolutely is.
Okay.
And it's important to find an activity that you enjoy and that you can stick with. It could be anything from walking to dancing to swimming.
Yeah.
The key is to get your body moving and to experience the positive effects it has on your mind and emotions.
So we've talked about acknowledging our feelings,
Yeah.
seeking therapy, practicing mindfulness, and engaging in physical activity.
Yeah.
These are all important steps
They are.
in dealing with the immediate aftermath of betrayal.
Exactly.
But what about the long-term process of healing and rebuilding trust?
Well, that's what we'll be exploring in part 2 of this episode.
Okay.
We'll delve deeper into the complexities of forgiveness, the challenges of rebuilding trust,
Okay.
and the importance of setting boundaries.
This has been really insightful so far.
Good.
I'm eager to learn more about the next stages of healing.
Great.
And don't forget to subscribe to QuickSpeak
Yeah.
and check out our website in the description for more learning materials like vocabulary and exercises from today's episode.
Right.
See you in part 2.
Bye. Welcome back to QuickSpeak.
In part 1, we talked about the immediate impact of betrayal and some strategies for coping with the initial emotional fallout.
Right.
We explored those raw feelings of hurt, anger, and confusion,
Yes.
and how those emotions can really shake us to our core.
They can.
Now, in part 2,
Yes.
we want to shift our focus to the longer-term process of healing.
Okay.
This is where the real work begins, isn't it?
It is.
It's not just about feeling better in the moment.
Right.
It's about creating lasting change
Yeah.
and moving forward in a healthier way. And one of the most challenging aspects of this process is forgiveness.
Forgiveness?
That word can be so loaded,
It can.
especially when we're talking about something as hurtful as betrayal. What does forgiveness really mean in this context?
It's important to understand that forgiveness doesn't mean condoning the betrayal or saying that what happened was okay.
Right.
It's not about letting the other person off the hook or minimizing the pain they cause.
So it's not about them at all, really.
Right.
It's about us and how we choose to move forward.
Precisely.
Forgiveness is about releasing the anger and resentment that we're holding on to.
Yeah.
It's about freeing ourselves from the burden of those negative emotions so that we can heal and move on.
Yes.
It sounds like forgiveness is a gift we give to ourselves, not to the person who betrayed us.
That's a powerful way to put it.
Yeah.
Holding on to anger and resentment only hurts us in the long run.
Okay.
It keeps us stuck in the past, prevents us from healing, and can even impact our future relationships.
So how do we actually go about forgiving someone who has hurt us so deeply?
Well,
it's easy to say just forgive and forget.
Yeah.
But it's much harder to actually do, isn't it?
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
Forgiveness is a process, not a switch we can just flip on and off.
Okay.
It takes time, effort, and a willingness to confront those painful emotions.
It sounds like it requires a lot of self-compassion and understanding.
It does.
Yeah.
And it's important to remember that forgiveness is a personal choice.
Okay.
There's no right or wrong timeline, and there's no obligation to forgive if you're not ready.
Right.
Or if it doesn't feel right for you.
So we're not saying that everyone has to forgive in order to heal.
No.
Sometimes the best course of action might be to walk away from the relationship altogether.
You're absolutely right.
Okay.
There are situations where forgiveness might not be possible or healthy, especially if the other person isn't remorseful or hasn't taken responsibility for their actions.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Forgiveness shouldn't come at the expense of our own well-being or safety.
Exactly.
So
It's about making choices that honor ourselves.
Yeah.
And that support our healing journey. Even if that means choosing to distance ourselves from the person who betrayed us.
Now let's talk about rebuilding trust.
Okay.
Is it even possible to trust someone again after they've betrayed us? And if so, how do we even begin to rebuild that shattered foundation?
Rebuilding trust is possible. But it's a delicate and often lengthy process. It requires a willingness from both parties to acknowledge the hurt that was caused, to take responsibility, and to make a genuine effort to repair the damage.
So it's not just about the person who was betrayed trying to move on.
No.
The person who did the betraying has to be actively involved in the rebuilding process as well.
Absolutely. The person who betrayed the trust needs to demonstrate genuine remorse. And a commitment to changing their behavior. They need to be transparent, accountable, and consistent in their actions.
It's about proving through their actions, not just their words, that they can be trusted again.
Exactly.
Trust is earned, not given. And rebuilding trust takes time. It's a gradual process that requires patience, understanding, and a willingness to be vulnerable again. It sounds like rebuilding trust is a bit like learning to walk again after an injury. It's slow, it can be painful, and it requires a lot of support.
That's a great analogy.
And just like with physical therapy, there might be setbacks along the way.
There might.
There might be moments of doubt, anger, or hurt that resurface.
Exactly.
So it's not a linear process. There will be ups and downs along the way.
Exactly.
And that's okay.
It is.
It's important to be patient with yourself and with the other person.
And
to remember that healing takes time. Now, you mentioned vulnerability earlier.
Yes.
Why is vulnerability so important in the process of rebuilding trust?
Well,
It seems counterintuitive to open ourselves up again
it does.
after experiencing such a painful betrayal.
Vulnerability is essential because it's the foundation of intimacy and connection.
Okay.
When we're vulnerable, we're sharing our true selves with another person. And that requires a deep level of trust.
Right.
After betrayal, it's natural to want to close ourselves off. To protect our hearts from further pain.
It's like we've built a wall around ourselves to keep others out.
That's a good way to describe it.
Yeah.
But in order to rebuild trust, we have to be willing to slowly lower those walls, brick by brick, and to allow the other person back in.
It's a risk, isn't it?
It is.
There's always a chance that we might get hurt again.
There is.
But without vulnerability, there can be no true intimacy or connection.
Right.
It's a risk worth taking if we want to experience the fullness of loving and trusting relationships. Now, along with rebuilding trust, it sounds like setting boundaries is also crucial in this process.
You're absolutely right.
Boundaries are essential in any healthy relationship.
Yes.
But they become even more important after a betrayal.
They do.
Why is that?
Well,
what role do boundaries play in healing and moving forward?
Boundaries are about protecting ourselves. Both physically and emotionally. They're about knowing our limits. And communicating those limits clearly to others.
So it's about taking back control.
Yeah.
After feeling like our control has been taken away,
Exactly.
after betrayal, it's common to feel like our sense of safety and security has been violated.
It is.
Setting boundaries helps us reclaim that sense of control and establish clear expectations for how we want to be treated.
Right.
So what are some examples of boundaries that people might want to set
Well,
after experiencing betrayal?
boundaries can vary depending on the nature of the betrayal.
Okay.
And the specific needs of the individuals involved. But some common examples might include
Limiting contact with the person who betrayed them, or only communicating about certain topics.
Right.
Another boundary could be asking for space to process their emotions,
Yeah.
or to engage in self-care activities without interruption.
Right.
So it's about prioritizing their own well-being
Yeah.
and making sure their needs are being met.
Exactly.
And it's important to remember that setting boundaries isn't about punishing the other person
No,
or controlling their behavior.
it's not.
It's about protecting ourselves and creating a safe and healthy environment for healing to take place.
Precisely.
And when boundaries are clearly communicated and respected,
Yeah.
it can actually foster trust and strengthen the relationship.
It can.
So boundaries aren't about building walls.
Right.
They're about creating a safe and healthy space within those walls.
That's a great way to put it.
They're about defining the parameters of the relationship so that both people feel safe, respected, and supported. This has been incredibly helpful in understanding the complexities of forgiveness, rebuilding trust, and setting boundaries.
Yeah.
We'll be back soon with part 3.
Okay.
Where we'll explore strategies for cultivating resilience, the importance of self-care.
Yes.
And practical tips for moving forward after betrayal.
Right.
In the meantime, if you are struggling with the aftermath of betrayal,
remember
that you are not alone.
You are not.
There are resources available to support you.
There are.
And don't forget to subscribe to QuickSpeak. And check out our website in the description.
Okay.
For more learning materials like vocabulary and exercises from today's episode.
Yes.
See you in part 3.
Bye.
Welcome back to QuickSpeak. In this final part of our episode on betrayal, we're going to shift our focus to the future. We've talked a lot about the pain of betrayal, the challenges of forgiveness, and the complexities of rebuilding trust.
But it's equally important to remember that we have the power to heal, to grow, and to create a brighter future for ourselves, even after experiencing such a profound hurt.
That's such a powerful message of hope. It's easy to get lost in the darkness of betrayal, to feel like we'll never be whole again.
It's understandable to feel that way. Betrayal can shatter our world and leave us feeling lost and broken. But it's important to remember that we are stronger than we think. We have an incredible capacity for resilience, for healing, and for transformation.
Resilience. That's a word we hear a lot these days. But what does it actually mean to be resilient, especially in the face of something as devastating as betrayal?
Resilience is the ability to bounce back from adversity, to adapt to change, and to cope with difficult situations. It's not about being immune to pain or hardship. It's about having the inner strength to navigate those challenges and to emerge from them stronger and wiser.
So it's not about avoiding pain or pretending that everything is okay. It's about acknowledging the pain, learning from it, and using it as fuel for growth.
Exactly. Resilience is about developing a mindset that allows us to see challenges as opportunities for learning and growth rather than as threats to our well-being.
It's about shifting our perspective from why me to what can I learn from this?
That's a great way to put it. And the more we practice resilience, the better we become at navigating the inevitable ups and downs of life.
So how do we actually cultivate resilience? Are there specific things we can do to strengthen that inner muscle?
There are. One important aspect is self-care.
Self-care. That's another word that gets thrown around a lot. What does self-care actually look like in the context of healing from betrayal?
Self-care is about making conscious choices that support our physical, emotional, and mental well-being. It's about prioritizing our own needs and giving ourselves permission to rest, recharge, and replenish.
It's about treating ourselves with the same kindness and compassion that we would offer to a dear friend.
Exactly. And self-care can take many forms. It could be as simple as taking a warm bath, reading a good book, or spending time in nature.
Or it could be about setting boundaries with people who drain our energy, pursuing hobbies that bring us joy, or seeking professional help when we need it.
Exactly. The key is to find what nourishes us and to make time for those activities even when we're feeling overwhelmed or exhausted.
Because when we take care of ourselves, we're better equipped to handle challenges and to navigate difficult emotions.
Absolutely. Self-care isn't selfish, it's essential. It's the foundation of resilience and well-being.
Along with self-care, what are some other strategies for building resilience?
Another important aspect is cultivating a positive mindset. This doesn't mean denying the negative or pretending that everything is okay. It's about choosing to focus on the good, even amidst the challenges.
So it's about finding the silver lining, the lessons learned, the opportunities for growth, even in the midst of pain and adversity.
Exactly. It's about shifting our focus from what we've lost to what we still have, from what's wrong to what's right.
It's about finding those glimmers of hope, even in the darkest of times.
And it's important to remember that building a positive mindset is a practice, not a destination. There will be days when it's harder than others, when those negative thoughts creep in and threaten to overwhelm us.
But the more we practice, the stronger we become.
Exactly. Like any muscle, our resilience grows with use. And over time, we develop a greater capacity to handle stress, to cope with challenges, and to bounce back from adversity.
It sounds like building resilience is an ongoing journey, a process of constantly learning, growing, and adapting.
It absolutely is. And it's a journey worth taking because the rewards are immeasurable.
Resilience empowers us to live more fully, to love more deeply, and to experience the world with greater courage and compassion.
It allows us to move through the world with a sense of groundedness and strength, even in the face of life's inevitable storms.
And ultimately, it's about reclaiming our power, our agency, and our ability to create a life that is meaningful and fulfilling.
Even after experiencing the pain of betrayal, we have the power to choose hope, to choose healing, and to choose a future that is brighter than our past.
That's such an inspiring message. It's a reminder that even though betrayal can leave deep wounds, it doesn't have to define us or dictate the course of our lives.
We have the power to heal, to grow, and to emerge from this experience stronger and wiser than before.
And that brings us to the end of our three-part episode on betrayal. We've covered a lot of ground exploring the emotional impact, the complexities of forgiveness and trust, and the importance of resilience and self-care.
We hope that this conversation has provided you with some insights, tools, and resources to support you on your own journey of healing and growth.
If you are struggling with the aftermath of betrayal, please remember that you are not alone. There are people who care, resources available to help, and an incredible capacity for healing within you.
Don't hesitate to reach out for support. And remember, you are stronger than you think. You have the power to heal, to grow, and to create a brighter future for yourself.
And don't forget to subscribe to QuickSpeak and check out our website in the description for more learning materials like vocabulary and exercises from today's episode. Thanks for listening.